At 3:45 Friday morning, someone threw a Molotov cocktail at the front gate of OpenAI CEO Sam Altman's San Francisco home. About an hour later, that same 20-year-old suspect showed up at OpenAI's headquarters, threatening to burn the entire building to the ground before police arrested him on the spot. This attack sits within a growing pattern of public backlash. According to a recent NBC poll, artificial intelligence is now viewed less favorably by the American public than ICE, the immigration enforcement agency. Altman published a blog post that same evening. He acknowledged the public's anxiety and stated that human-level artificial intelligence should never be controlled by any single person or company. He argued the technology must be shared broadly to keep democratic systems in control. But if you look at the actions of the tech industry over the last 30 days, those calls for democratization conflict with the actual business strategy. The industry is quietly pulling up the drawbridges. The network of shared, transparent research that built this industry is being dismantled. We are seeing the systematic enclosure of artificial intelligence. Right when the public is reacting to black box systems with literal firebombs, the biggest corporations are responding by locking their technology further away from public view. Look at Meta. For years, they were the primary provider of high-end open-source models. Tens of thousands of developers built independent businesses on top of Meta's free Llama models. Then, Meta released their newest model, Muse Spark. It is entirely proprietary. You cannot download the weights, and you cannot fine-tune it. You can only access it through Meta's own apps or an exclusive private API. The shift is driven by the cost of the hardware. Meta spent roughly $135 billion on AI capital expenditures this year. After Llama 4 failed to gain significant traction with developers last April, leadership pivoted. They are no longer giving the technology away. They are looking for a return on that $135 billion investment. OpenAI is following the same trajectory, erecting financial walls around tools that used to be accessible. They just launched a ChatGPT Pro tier for $100 a month. It specifically targets power users by offering massive usage bumps for Codex, their AI coding agent. 3 million developers rely on Codex every week, and OpenAI is now capping access on cheaper plans to squeeze revenue from their most dependent users. To appease shareholders and cover massive infrastructure costs, American tech labs are abandoning the public comments to build proprietary monopolies. Anthropic is achieving the same enclosure through a different route. They recently announced their most powerful model, Claude Mythos, but restricted access to just 40 organizations, claiming its cybersecurity capabilities make it too dangerous for the general public. However, cybersecurity experts note that branding a product as too dangerous to release is an effective way to drive up a company's valuation. It builds a sense of mystery and power, right as Anthropic prepares for a rumored IPO. This push for private control takes on a physical dimension when you realize the software is being moved into robotic bodies. A Chinese robotics company called Unitree is bringing its R1 humanoid robot to the US market next week. The price tag is $4,370. That is less than a used car for a humanoid machine that can run downhill and perform complex physical maneuvers. We are seeing floor lamps that fold laundry and highly realistic synthetic humans. The hardware is becoming affordable for the average consumer. But as the hardware spreads, the intelligence required to operate these machines is being concentrated in the hands of a few gatekeepers. Whoever locks down the software effectively holds a monopoly on the labor of the future physical workforce. By abandoning the open-source community, American tech giants are leaving millions of global developers without access to top-tier, free tools. Chinese laboratories are moving to fill that gap, releasing powerful open-weight models to capture the developers that American firms have priced out. This week, Chinese lab Z.ai released GLM 5.1, hitting #1 on major coding benchmarks and surpassing the best US open-source models. Unlike standard chatbots, it is designed for autonomous work, functioning as a virtual engineer. It runs for 8 hours, refining code through thousands of iterations without human intervention. This isn't an isolated release. Between DeepSeek models optimized for Huawei chips and Alibaba's Qwen series, Chinese labs are now the primary drivers of open-source development. In their pursuit of high-margin subscriptions and shareholder value, American tech giants have created a global power vacuum. By withdrawing from the open-source community to protect their profits, they have effectively ceded the development of the next generation of software to their biggest global rivals.